Hello friends, I am Dr. Himanshu Pandey, Assistant Professor, School of Law, Devi Ahilya Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. Today I am going to deliver my lecture on this present module, Basics of Research. This module contains an easy and layman approach for understanding research and its fundamental aspects concerning objectives, purposes and importance of research. How research methods vary from one stream of knowledge to other, especially questions relating to the nature and objectives of legal research. All these points have been dealt under this module, which will be explained by this lecture. Objective of this lecture and module is to develop basic understanding of research and their relationship with human being. Human development is the outcome of research process, and identifying research process, its kind and importance, to develop skills to design, analyze and research on socio-legal problems so that you can plan and pursue legal and social-legal research in your future. For understanding the concept of research, it is necessary to understand this concept in two ways. First, in its ordinary sense, and second one is technical sense. Before coming to technical sense, it is necessary to understand the concept in practical lives. Examples. In ordinary sense, the person used to solve his problem of life in his day-to-day action. Such action performed by the person towards his problem solving is sometimes ordinarily called as research. In fact, that is not right to say research in technical term. If man perceives any problem, any fact, any phenomena or any transaction problematic in his life, and he has no experience and knowledge how to handle that problem, immediately this is the natural phenomena or natural quality of the man that immediately he moves to search the knowledge. He moves to search the knowledge towards problem solving with experts, experienced person and credible persons supposed to have the answer of such problem or knowledge to resolve that problem. After applying, seeking that knowledge, he applies that knowledge and try to resolve his problem of life. Whether his problem will be solved or not, it depends. This process of problem solving in the life is an problem solving action, and that problem solving action is not scientific because the method used to find out the solution of the problem has not proceeded according to the scientific methods, and it was not acted in a systematic manner. This whole process may be called as non-research action, and non-research action is always other than the research which is not amount to research. There is a difference between non-research action and research process. The non-research action is always complex in its process, and if any action not performed systematically, obviously its results would not be reliable. If the results are not reliable, and applying those results to satisfy any problem of life may be risky affair or may be harmful for the person or the society or institution. On the contrarily, research process is a scientific process of searching knowledge. Scientific process of searching knowledge means all those methods which have already been approved are used for pursuing research. Though those models suggested for pursuing research are not conclusive, the researcher has his choice to modify and take any method according to his purpose and objectives of research. and any such data which has been obtained by pursuing the scientific process, its results can be relied and valid. And any such reliable and valid conclusion can be used in the stock of knowledge, can contribute towards the existing stock of knowledge. After discussing about the concept in its ordinary way, now it is necessary to understand the concept with its technical sense. In technical sense, we can say that research is the composition of two terms, one is re and second one is search. Re is the Latin term, means again, afresh and repeated investigation. Search means to find out something by looking or otherwise seeking. Here these two terms are itself suggesting the whole process, means to find out something by directly observing the phenomena or by any other sources or methods. This is the research. Here the research is a process. That process starts from selection of research problem. After selecting any research problem, researcher moves to solve that problem. His movement for solving the problem comes with his second step, that is the study of facts. He tried to gather all such relevant information, facts relating to his problem, and after analyzing those facts, he comes on certain conclusion. And after concluding that thing, he finds any knowledge. And if that knowledge is applied for the utility, for the benefit of the society, and if that knowledge can satisfy or cope up the society from that problem, now it can be called as a success process of research. The research process includes some major questions like what to search, why to search, and how to search. The term what, it denotes the object of research, why denoting the purposes thereof, and third, how stands for the methods used for the research. Major components of research are its objective, second is purpose, and third one is method used for data collection, data analysis, and interpretation thereof. It is necessary to make it clear and distinguish between two terms which are usually and repeatedly used with every research, that is the objectives of research and purpose of research. Objective of research and purpose of research are not the same. Objectives have different working and purposes have different results. Objectives of any research is to seek the knowledge by describing the nature of research, quality of research, or philosophy or the principle of research. And purpose part of the research always denotes that how that result of the research will be beneficial for the society. Who would be the beneficiary of the results? How that research conclusion, research results will be beneficial for them, or it can be the rationale of the research which comes within the part of purpose of research. Object and purpose are somewhere relating terms, are not independent, having the nexus with each other. This relation of the object and purpose of research have been shown by one example, and in this example there are three persons, Mr. A, Mr. B, and Mr. C. Object of all these three are the same, that is the construction of residential house property. Object of A, B and C are the same, whereas they have their individual purpose. Mr. A wants to construct house property for his own residential use, whereas Mr. B wants to construct house property for letting it out, and Mr. C wants to make his capital investment by this object. That means we can better understand that there is a relation between objective of research and purpose of research. Any research topic undertaken by the researcher at the same time at different times may have the same topic, selected the same with same objectives, but their individual purposes of research may be different. Some researcher wants to research to find out the real research problem of the life. Other wants to research for getting any academic degree like doctorate. And third, other researcher, he may be interested to work for any funding agencies. Here the object of research is the same, but the purposes of the research may differ from the time, space and objectives of individual researcher. On the basis of different objectives, the research can be classified as inventive research, exploratory research, explanatory research, diagnostic research, remedial research, comparative research, experimental research, and at last historical research. All these explanations, classifications of research are illustrative one, are not conclusive. There may be some other kinds of classification on the basis of different objectives and dimensions. The first category, or what we can say, the first kind of research on the basis of its objective to invent something, that is called inventive research. Inventive research is the process by which the researcher wants to search any theory or principle, and by propounding that theory he can innovate any novel product. Inventive research is usually applied for material things, any such invention which has not existed earlier. This method is based on the pure science and personal skills of the researcher. First, researcher try to find out some facts, methods, methodology on the basis of his logical analysis, and any such knowledge which is not exist earlier, he try to collect that knowledge at the primary stage, and on the basis of that knowledge he developed or built his theory, and by applying that theory he innovates any material product or thing. Example of inventive research is articles, instruments, machineries or devices. After inventive research, the second research, that is the exploratory research. Object of exploratory research is to explore any unknown fact, though the fact already exists somewhere in this world, but the society is not aware as to the existence of that fact. The focus of researcher is to explore those facts and to present those facts before the society. In this research, no preliminary data exists for assisting the researcher or to guide him to proceed with his objective. Mysterious facts, those facts which are difficult to explain, are searched and interpreted and shown before the society by this exploration method. After exploratory research, another kind of research is explanatory research. Object of this kind of research is the explanation of knowledge. Any knowledge, any fact which exists in the society, and society and group of pupils are already know or aware with the existence of fact, but their knowledge is somewhere is not perfect. If they are not aware as to the reality of that fact, or their knowledge of reality is incomplete, misleaded or inconsistent. The focus of researcher is to give the true explanation of the facts by which he can correct the social perception towards that concept of life. Because this is very necessary, or what we can say, this is the matter of social development. If the society at large is misleaded or having misconception towards the truthiness of any fact, this is the moral duty of the researcher to work on that particular social issue and explain and make the society aware with the reality. After explanatory research, another is diagnostic research, where any problem exists in the society. Peoples are affected by that problem, but they have no knowledge how to resolve that problem, where the causes or the variables of such problem which causing the existence of problem, subsistence of problem, are not known. By this researcher exercise to find out causes or variables responsible for origin, existence and subsistence of problem, and finally he diagnosed the causes of any problem. This is also called the causal research. After causal research, another important research is remedial research, where the causes of any problem are already known to the society, but how to cope up that problem, that is the question. Causes of problem have already identified. How to prevent or control such problem is a question. By this research, researcher try to investigate those facts or variables which can be useful for controlling or eradication of such social problem. After remedial research, another research is comparative research. Object of this research is the comparison of two or more groups, phenomena, society, policy, instrument, principles or theories. Here the researcher makes the comparison between two or more set of principles, theories or groups, and after analyzing them he comes with the conclusion that which particular theory or model is beneficial to achieve any defined objective. The next research is experimental research. In experimental research, effects of variable is observed by controlling and manipulating the variables. Here the researcher has control over the variables used in the research, and he tried to study the effects of their manipulation or their reaction with the other variable. This research is performed with objective to test the variables or testing of the hypothesis. Testing of variables is also called the laboratory research. Experimental researches are rarely used in legal research. Historical research is another kind of research having its own distinct objective, and this is very important kind of research. By this research, past facts or evidences are studied systematically and chronologically. By past events, researchers try to explain the present phenomena, present condition, and it can also be beneficial for the future decisions. In this research, researcher collects the scattered recorded facts and analyze them and summarize to give a valid statement as to the past events. After this classification of research on the basis of objectives come with the research process. Research process contains three major steps. First part, that is the collection of data, second analysis of data, and third one is the interpretation of data. In all these three stages, the researcher required the skilled analytical methods for collection, analysis, and interpretation of data. With this process, the researcher interest with the research is to know about their importance. Importance of research can be explained in the words of jurist Hudson said that all progress is born of inquiry. Doubt is often better than overconfidence, for it leads to inquiry, and inquiry leads to investigation. Research progress somewhere beneficial for future actions or decisions, where the person is aware about the reality, truthness of the facts and the phenomena, he can take the best decision as to his life. Carl Pearson has stated about the importance of research in very nice composition of words, that is, there is no shortcut to the earth, there is no shortcut to the truth, no way to gain knowledge of the universe except through the gateway of scientific method. He has advocated the use of scientific methods, scientific investigation to know the reality. For the law scholars, after understanding the basics of research, it is necessary to explain about the nature of legal research. Legal research is the subject related to the social science approach. Because law is the normative science, law cannot be studied independently. Law is an instrument to control the social behavior, social ordering. That is why the legal research has to be studied in the light of social phenomena. But the characteristic of legal research is distinct from other streams of social science because of its distinct authoritative sources of knowledge. Basic sources of knowledge are the legislation, precedent, and customs. Juristic writing is another common source frequently used in legal researches. Society is a dynamic concept, so law can not be static. That is why the legal research is very important for the social development and social utility. Objective of legal research can be explained in following points: finding out the objectives of existing law and customs, to check their utility in changing social demands, to find out the lacuna if any exist, and to take the necessary steps to overcome such problem. To find out the possibilities of prevention and control of social evils by enactment and improvement of law, providing space and improvement and importance to new and changing technologies affecting individual rights, social order, and legislative provisions, their implementation, enforcement, and infringement. Comparison of two or more legislations resulting conflict is also a common object of legal research. To discover new facts, test and verify old facts, analyze the facts in new theoretical framework can be the objective of legal research. There are some specific procedural models and methods which are commonly used in legal research. These are evaluative, explicative, identificatory, qualitative, impact analysis, and interactive model. Evaluative model contain the procedure by which roots of social evils are identified and their prohibition and control is suggested by the legal research. Evolutionary theory was basically propounded by Darwin. He said that evolutionary theory is a theory directed at explaining the present by looking at his past. Second, explicative model. Explicative model is used with certain objectives in legal research, where the objective of research is to ascertain the nature, scope, and sources of any law, legislation, or any statute. And the stated sources, legislation, and nature are compared with their real social condition. And thereafter, any conclusion may be drawn as to the real nature of law, objectives and limitations of law can also be focused by this method. Third is identificatory model. This model has the direct approach towards the finding, searching those persons beneficiaries of any law, legislative schemes, or provision of law. If any law has been enacted with certain objective and its objective is denoting that certain class of group is the beneficiary of this legislative scheme, the purpose of researcher is to check this thing whether this legislation is actually serving the stated objectives or not, or is there any other person behind the curtain who is the beneficiary of these provisions and schemes. Next is projective model. Projective model is used to find out the attitude, responsiveness, and reactivity of the society towards particular piece of legislation. Invitation of public opinion before introducing any new legislation or amending existing one, so that difficulties arise in implementation of policy can overcome. Survey method is usually used with this projective model to find out the social response towards any legislative action. Next is qualitative model. The qualitative model makes the comparison between two existing law, provisions of law, models of law. Its objective is to compare two rules to find out which one is more workable and by which the desired effect may be achieved. Next is impact analysis. By the term itself, you can understand that impact analysis process is focused to find out the impact of any rule, legislative principle, provisions on society. Here the impact of legal principles, rules, and institutions on society are studied, and if any deficiency found in their relation, it is corrected by the researcher. Suggestion for necessary changes can be made for improvement. These are the objective of impact analysis. After impact analysis, another model is interactive model. Study the involvement of some other factors while interaction of legal provision with the society. during the interaction of law with the social phenomena, other factors, variables which are interacted, their role, their nature and effects are studied. The focus of researcher in this model is to find out the evidences showing the interaction of certain variables, their nature and effects on the law and society. After discussing about this basic approach of research, technical sense of research, procedure applied for research, this is the time to conclude the lecture. Research is a systematic process of investigating unknown facts or explanation of existing facts with certain objectives. Here the systematic process can be achieved by following the scientific methods suggested for this thing. In scientific method, there are various approved models and researcher can select any of the model according to objective and purpose of research. Role of legal researchers are also important in finding, analyzing and explaining the relation of law and society. Methods which are used for ordinary research in social science streams are also usually applicable in legal law researches. But these methods are opted in law stream with certain modifications, certain amendments which are necessary to satisfy the purpose within the scopes of legal regime. Thank you on my part.